Hey guys, Loot Wizard here with another video on Gems of War. Now, I was playing around with a few more Explore teams, so this video I kind of wanted to show a little bit of these other teams. Really, it's one team setup, and you can just switch out one troop for different troops. And it's the Skeleton Key team, so you can use the Skeleton Key for level 12 difficulty and it'll still work, but you do need to cast it probably about 8 to 10 times to finish off everything. Plus the Skeleton Key doesn't have a whole lot of survivability. If it gets targeted, it's gonna die pretty easy. Its only defense is the class rock solid traits that give it barrier on brown mana matches. So I was testing out different troops because the Skeleton Key team is really great for fast mana generation. So I was playing around with Suna here. Not all mythic troops are going to be able to handle these high level difficulties with ease, but Suna works pretty good because it steals life from the 2 weakest enemies, and then it steals 8 magic from the 2 strongest enemies, and it does Fairy Fire a random enemy when matching red gems, so we have the potential to do even more life stealing because of Fairy Fire. The only problem with this is that the Egg Thief uses 2 of the same mana color that the Suna does, so if you run into a troop that's going to switch your troops around, and if Suna gets above Egg Thief, then you're going to have a hard time getting mana as fast. So that's one of the problems with this particular setup with Suna. But if you're running it, if you're doing an explore battle in a kingdom that doesn't have any troops that do that switching your positions around, then it won't be a problem at all. So the trick here is we need to get Egg Thief up. That's basically the same concept as the Skeleton Key team. Now that we have the Egg Thief up, go ahead and cast that and let the fun begin. So every time Suna gets cast, it's going to be stealing life and magic. So the next time that you cast it, it'll steal even more life, and that is just going to keep increasing over and over until the enemy is dead. And the fun thing is that with Egg Thief, almost every single time you're going to be able to cast Suna once again. And if that first one dies, we got another Dragon Egg here to go up there and act as the tank. So now we're at a place here where these 2 troops are going to die the next time I cast Suna. And they're dead. So yeah, it's a pretty fun, pretty fast team to use for these explore battles. And since we're using the gold team, we're still getting a lot of gold from it. I got almost 6,000 gold just from winning that explore battle. Now there are a couple other troops that you can use besides Suna, and one of them is the legendary card Tesla. So if we can go ahead and find it here, I know it's a blue-red color. There it is. So Tesla's in here, and Tesla's going to do probably about 60 or so true damage every time that you cast it. And since these have about 150 life, you're looking at maybe 5 or 6 casts, and then they're all going to die. And that's, if they don't have a barrier on themselves or anything like that.
Mana surge.
Okay, so that's 1 cast. This is 2. This is 3.
Mana surge.
And 4. So actually it was only 4 casts, and then we won. So that's another troop that can be used with this team as well. Tesla. Now, it doesn't have the survivability, so if it gets targeted specifically by the enemy, it could die in 1 or 2 hits. So that is, and if it dies in this team setup, then you're going to have to retreat because you don't have anything else that can really do damage in this team. So that's the only downside really of using Tesla for this. But it works. You know, if you have the right kingdom or, you know, there isn't a whole lot of barrier that they put on themselves, then it'll work pretty smooth. Another troop that is its ability to boost itself is pretty funny, but it actually takes quite a bit longer than Tesla or Suna. Is a legendary troop from the City of Thieves faction. This guy here, King of Thieves. So what his ability is, he deals 30 damage to an enemy. He gains 3 to all skills boosted by my gold. Well, since we're using a gold team, his skills are going to get boosted then by quite a bit because, you know, we're using the gold team. Its traits doesn't really matter because we're going to get up to max gold pretty quickly. So none of this really matters at all. But yeah, its ability. Let's just throw this in here because I want to show you what it does. I think it's pretty funny with this troop. You know, it's an interesting ability, but I think Tesla and Suna are just way quicker at getting the job done. Of course, we got to try to find some kind of blue and red here, or not blue, but green and red for our egg thief.
Mana surge.
Alright, let the fun begin.
Mana surge.
So, as you can see up here, we're at max gold 200 of 200. So we're going to go and cast this guy. He only does 30 damage to begin with, but look at his stats just got increased by a lot. So, now he's going to do 73 damage to all enemies.
Mana surge.
Now he's going to do 116. We only cast him twice so far. That's 3 times. So after you cast him 3 times, he's about 160 damage. Go ahead and kill that guy. That's 4 times that we've cast him, and he's at 200 damage. Now, this is why I said he's a little slower. I really wish after casting him 4 times he'd already be at 300 damage, because that way you could take out these guys like in about 1 hit. We gotta cast him like 2 times, I think, to get to that point. Alright, now we're close to 300. But we've cast him about 6 times, I think. I lost count. Of course, gonna spawn another troop on death. That's never annoying. So, yeah, now we're gonna just one-shot these guys. So, I mean, I don't think this troop is, yeah, and its damage is just going to keep increasing here, which is hilarious, that it does this. But, you know, it's slower. I really think that it's slower than Suna and Tesla for sure, because Tesla won in like 4 or 5 casts. Skeleton Key is still going to be probably a little faster than this. But this has insane survivability and damage potential. So it might work better for some kingdoms over others. Just because some kingdoms might have tougher opponents that are going to block some kind of damage. But the one thing this has going for it, I will say, is that it, just like Suna, all of its stats are increasing. And it's even a little better than Suna because its attack damage is increasing as well. So on a survivability factor, I would say this troop is has the most survivability, simply because it's got all around stats are being increased. But yeah, I don't know, that was probably like 10, 12 turns. So it gets the job done, it's a little bit slower. So as far as like other troops, there really isn't any other ones that I have found to be very useful, except you can use High King Iron Gut here, but the problem with him is that he's going to start out with this 39 attack damage, which that's his percentage of Devour. So you might hit an enemy troop, you know, once, or it might take 6 times of casting him until he finally devours. Once he devours a troop, then his attack's over 100, which means he's going to devour every single time unless they have an immunity to devour, which that's another downside of using High King Iron Gut as well. So you could put any single troop that you wanted in this spot, and it's going to generate, you know, you're going to be able to cast it very often because of how the Egg Thief works with this gold team. But the question is, does the troop have the ability to you know, kill the enemy off at a decent speed? Because again, you want a powerful team, but you also want a pretty fast team, so you can clear those high level difficulties quicker. And so Megavore, you know, although it would remove all the armor in one hit, it's going to only do about 55 damage, and they all have about 150 life, so you're going to have to hit each enemy 3 times to kill them with Megavore, which Megavore is going to take way too long, unless it's thing here procs to kill the last enemy on 4 or 5 matches, but I would not rely upon that. So yeah, now I think that's pretty much it for troops that I found to be useful. Again, there are a lot of troops in this game, so I might be missing a few here and there. So feel free to play with that if you want and try different troops in here. I already tried Tina 9000. It does work, but you do have to cast it quite often because it's only it's going to do between like 30 and 55 or so true damage to 3 random enemies. So it's going to do 90 to like 150 damage, true damage, and that's between 4 troops. So it's not even doing as much damage as Tesla. So yeah. Now as far as weapons, you could use, like I said, the Skeleton Key, but you could actually use a different weapon if it works good. One weapon that might be good for this, besides the Skeleton Key, would be the Warlord's Battlecry. Simply because it's boosted by the enemy's attack, and it's a 1-1 ratio. So if the enemy's attack is like 90, you're going to add 90 to this here, 23, whatever your magic is for this weapon. So I would be doing like 113 or so damage every single time I cast this, which I would still have to hit each enemy 3 times with this to kill it. So not really ideal. The only other weapon that I have tried besides Skeleton Key that actually worked pretty good is the Trickster Shot. So if you have the Trickster Shot like this, every time you cast it, it's going to eliminate all armor from an enemy. Then it deals 25 damage. It gains 2 magic boosted by armor eliminated. So its magic is going to increase much like the that King of Thieves troop did. So let me go ahead and just show you this one real quick, just in case you have this weapon. And you know, I don't know really though why you would use this over the Skeleton Key, because the Skeleton Key works just as good probably, but you know, options. Basically tired of playing with the same weapon over and over. So with this, I always start at the bottom, not at the top, because what's going to happen is you're going to gain more magic damage every time you cast this. So I start at the bottom and hit the next one, and by the time you get up to the top, you should kill it completely or get close to it, and the health will be less on these top ones if you start at the bottom. So that way, if you do skull damage, which you're going to, because with Egg Thief, you're going to have random skull matches like that, and that should finish off one or two at the top. So, after 3 casts, we're already at 185 magic damage. So, this is going to kill the first troop pretty much. Now it's on, this one only has 20. You know, whereas if you would have started at the top and you would have went down to the bottom, the one at the bottom would have had the 20 life left, which, you know, your battles are going to be potentially a little bit longer because, just like I killed this here, because I'm destroying all these skulls when I'm casting Egg Thief. So yeah, this weapon works pretty good. It averages about, I think, 8 casts, and then you win. So, not bad. The Tesla, though, is still probably better. So, if we go here and let's throw the Tesla back in there and just see how it. Let's see if it can finish off this whole thing now, because this is the mini boss battle, and then I have the mythic boss room, I think, after that, if I have enough myth stones.
Mana surge.
We just need to get that red and green. That's the only, that's the bad thing about. There we go. I was a little concerned my Egg Thief was gonna die before I could cast it. Yep, they're all dead. I don't know, I didn't count that time, but it was... we don't have enough myth stones to do that battle, but as you can see, those are some different team options for Explorer, and you actually do get more gold that way because you're using the gold team. So yeah, I just thought I would share some of those ideas with you guys. Hopefully that gives you, you know, a little more variety in your Explorer teams for that level 12 difficulty. And thanks for watching as always, and later.